Stories Podcast, your #1 show for everything guitar.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Guitar Stories Podcast with me, Andy Ferris.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dan, and it's great to be back. And I love that intro. Thanks so much for composing that, Andy. That was great.
You're welcome. It took many, many hours and minutes and sweaty days of my time when I should have been playing and practicing guitar, as we all know. But let's kick off the show, Dan, with a massive piece of news, a huge piece of news which should be at the forefront of your brain because Nickelback have been inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And
yeah, Nickelback are in the Canadian Hall of Fame. I think I was going to talk about this as well, but I completely forgot. This is how you remind me?
Yeah. I mean, as we're there, I mean, God, look at this photograph.
Oh wow, it's not like you.
No,
it's not
didn't
like.
Work out as I.
No, it's not like you to say sorry. I was waiting on a whole different story, really. Oh, that was probably the worst start of an episode ever. But
I don't know, but at least I didn't ask you how you are. How are you?
Excellent. And how are you, grumpy old man?
I had a grumpy day. I had a bit of a poorly belly, so it's been a grumpy day. One of those grumpy days where you just, I've had a few grumpy Tuesdays recently. I don't know if I think it might be you, Dan. You might be having this grumpy effect on me.
Bah.
And if anyone's wondering why, wait till we get to the gear picks. Then you'll figure out why. Speaking of which, let's tell you what's coming up on the show. We have our picks of the week. We have Buy, Borrow, or Burn. We have some beautiful sponsors, don't we, Dan?
As always, like as every
beautiful
week.
Sponsors. And speaking of beautiful, we have the wonderful Simon Mcbride with us today. I'm very excited. And so is my son, who hopefully is asleep right now. But we'll talk about why my son is excited in a little bit. And he will be watching this later on. So I've got to make sure that I behave and be a good daddy. Let's say hello to the people in the live chat. Let's say hello to Buzzle. Hello Valeria. Hello Enoxes. Hello Melogify. Melogify's having a good day. I hear he got a new guitar, Dan.
Oh wow, what guitar is it?
It's one of those what's it called? It looks a bit like a Strat. It's lost me what it is. Poo Ninja is here. Linus Hida, that's a great name. Cranar is here. Hey, Cranar. And Jake Lee Guitar. Hello, Jake. Jake Lee is coming on the show in a couple of weeks' time. So he's probably here just swatting up on the old formats and making sure he fits in with the Nickelback jokes, etc. Celine Perrin is here. Hey, Celine.
Hey, Celine.
We have to get you on the show at some point. Roman is here. And I know, RT Smudge. There we go. I nearly missed RT Smudge. Sorry, mate. If you're listening on the audio version, by the way, please drive safely or operate the machinery that you're currently operating very safely. Or if you're cooking, then don't cut yourself or put too much garlic in the mix. That would be a big mistake. I can still taste it.
Right.
So I want to bring our guest in as soon as possible, Dan. And to do that, we need one of your wonderful trademarked introductions. Do you have one for us?
Yeah, of course. We're welcoming Irish guitarist Simon Mcbride this week, and he was making the headlines quite recently for becoming the new guitarist in Deep Purple, replacing the iconic Steve Morse. And with this, of course, being the unquestionable highlight for every guitarist out there, we actually want to take a journey together with Simon, together with you guys out there on the stream and also on in the cars and wherever you listen to the show, to kind of figure out how that young boy who was living in Belfast kind of become not just deeply rooted in blues, but also UK's Young Guitarist of the Year, only I think aged 15, would later replace Vivian Campbell in Sweet Savage, a metal band from Belfast, record a plethora of solo albums, and how he basically transformed into the accomplished guitarist that he nowadays is, where every kind of fan of the guitar is licking its fingers when he sees and hears him play. And I think you've got a little clip of him as well, right? Is that time already?
We'll play it. It's not time for that. We'll get the real man in first. I've got a question about the clip, which is why I can't play the clip yet. And also, I thought we'd last for at least 10 minutes before I get demonetized. So.
All right. Okay. Cool.
before we upset the YouTube gods. All right. Well, thank you for that information. I learned a little bit there. You knew more than I did. I've done my homework. I didn't know some of those facts. You're better at this than I am, which is always good.
All right. Well, then let the gentleman come in, right?
Yeah.
There he is.
All right. Welcome.
Hey. How y'all doing?
Hello.
Excellent. Good evening.
We are good. Thank you for joining us, Simon. It is an absolute honor to have you on the show, and we wish you the very best in everything you're doing. We're starting there with a massive gift of positivity. How are you?
Oh, just come off the road, and which was extremely hard. But I'm good. I'm all good. Just back home in my little man cave. And
it looks good. It looks like you've got like some racing stripes on the ceiling, as if you might do some kind of car racing upside down. I quite enjoy that. Just checking some audio. Valeria says we've got some choppy audio. Is that from everybody, or is it just one of us? Is it me again? Because I tend to have the choppiest audio of the lot.
Sound is a little problem. It is, yeah. Okay, just give us some feedback, guys. Are these QWERTY shirts? Yeah. Is yours as well QWERTY? I don't know.
Mine's not a QWERTY shirt. I bought this in Venice. One of the many obvious things you get from Venice. Okay. So apparently, Simon, we're having issues with your audio, unfortunately.
Okay.
We had some technical problems earlier, and now
camera change.
There you go.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's still a lot better.
Still choppy, I guess. So maybe where are you at the moment? Yeah. You're in your home studio, right?
I am indeed. I'm in my home studio. So
can we send a bucket of internet connection over to Simon, please? It's normally me that needs the connection fortifying, but this week
it's a weird thing. I don't know. To my internal microphone. Is that any better?
Yeah, now
that is better. I think it. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. What I love about our live chat people, thank you so much for being so supportive and offering all technical support. There's like 10 different solutions running in the live chat right now. One of them, Tayon Age, says wireless headphones, and we've just eliminated that part of the mixture.
Don't buy Apple headphones. Oh, they've turned on again. Hold on. Yeah. No.
Right. Simon, welcome to the show. Thank you once again for joining us and for putting up with the gremlins that we welcome to the show absolutely every week. So this is not anything that's new for us. We are age-old experts at this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've just come back off tour, right?
Yeah, I just got back off tour. I was away for 7 weeks. That was the third with Purple, and I've just got back there last week and just having some chilling out, dealing with screaming kids, and
yeah, I know that feeling. Dan's just putting his phone next to the mic again.
Sorry,
more technical problem.
No. We're good.
Dan, stop playing Tetris. Put the Tetris away.
Okay.
Right. Whilst we've got a good internet connection, Simon, we've got some sort of quick fire questions that we would love to ask you. Hopefully they're not too pressured. I believe that Dan asked the question first last week. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, I don't know, but you can go first if you like to. No problem at all.
Okay, I will do. I will go first. Simon, super easy question for you, and it's from my son, who is 5 years old, and
Okay.
I tried to record him asking a question. His favorite song in the world is "Smoke on the Water," and anytime I get the chance to put some music on for him, it's his first thing, and we have it on rotation. So I know the song pretty well by now, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
He was going to ask you a question about Smoke on the Water, but instead he wants to know, what color is your favorite guitar?
Red. Red's my favorite color. So yeah, it's my favorite
Great.
guitar. It's red. So yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
And is it over your shoulder?
Yeah, that is the color, but it's not that guitar. It's another guitar somewhere in Germany at the minute. So, but it looks very similar to that one. So it does. So yeah, it's basically it's a PRS 408, kind of tweaked and modified for me, you know. But I always love the color red, and you know, I've that one, which is basically very similar, only it's a double cutaway. Red is my favorite color, and yes, Smoke in the Water is probably every child's. It's my son's favorite song. He doesn't play any. He knows lots of songs on the guitar. What's the thing? I'm like, oh, I've just had several weeks playing it. That isn't any more.
Yeah, but you actually get paid to play it. Amazing.
The funny thing is, I had never actually really played it live before. Live was, I did a tour with ENGL in 2016, Smoke in the Water live, ever. I always played it when I was a kid, you know, as you do, but I got paid for it.
Yeah.
which
Hell yeah.
Which is a bonus. Yeah.
That's a big justification.
Every night. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But it's one of those songs. It's a hard, you know, it's a simple riff, but it's, you know, it's very hard to play correct. Very hard to play simply, you know, and just not overcomplicated. There's a lot of guitarists want to, you know, like did I already mention the word vibrato? They want vibrato. It's like, no, not do that. But yeah.
Yeah, right. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, I got too excited on my first question. That was
no, all good. That was interesting. Actually, I would love to follow up and ask Simon if there's if the red was rooted in some sort of Guitar Hero experience, like Hank Martin or Mark Knopfler or something like that. But I don't know. Is it the case? No.
I just like red. That's it.
Really. Okay.
No, I don't know. I have always listened for red and yellow, but yellow guitars aren't so cool. Well, I have one. I can't see it. It's an Ibanez, actually, one of the RG, you know, jam. Not RG. Yeah, it's a Steve Vai kind of jam and canary yellow and pink pickups there somewhere.
Nice.
But yeah, I daren't bring it on stage.
I wonder why. You might get in trouble for that. Yeah, another guitar question, Simon. For people that don't know you that well and sort of looking at you trying to guess, what was your first guitar? The first one you ever received or bought?
The first guitar I ever had was a Tokai Strat. It wasn't mine. It was I stole it. You know, he bought the guitar for him, tried to play, but he just quite, you know, couldn't manage it because when he gets his hands and tore all the tendons and stuff. So anyway, the guitar was lying around the house, and I just picked it up and, you know, did what any kind of 8-9-year-old kid does with a guitar. And then I noticed there was a little book and stuff, and I gradually, you know, that's how it is. Black, just your typical black, you know, Stratocaster with a white scratch plate, and you know, that guitar, because it was such a good guitar. but I don't know where it is now. Long gone.
In the ether.
Yeah,
somewhere.
That's it. Somebody has it. From the firewood or something. I don't know.
I hope not. That would be awful. That would be a real shame.
I know.
All right. Next question?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, Dan.
All right. I think you said in a recent interview that the main work of being in a band is done off stage or even at the bar. What drinks would Steve McBride serve to his bandmates to keep the social life flowing?
But it's mostly red wine and brandy.
Okay.
So, to be honest, what we drink a lot of the time. Actually, I never used to drink brandy. Bettererer. Well, the thing is, nobody meet Bettererer, and then that's it. You're addicted. You're hooked on brandy for the rest of your life. Like that. But yeah, wine, brandy, it could lead to anything.
Okay.
So yeah. But I just love red wine. A little too much, but that's fine. That's all right.
Cool. Yeah, red wine is a good pick.
It is.
Yeah. What's your favorite type of grape for red wine? Shiraz or Zinfandel?
I like Spanish wines. So Portuguese wines I like. Yeah, I just don't ask. I'm I like good wine, but people always think I'm a connoisseur of it because I always drink wine. And go to restaurants, they always give me the wine list, and I'm like, I haven't a clue.
Yeah.
I give my phone out. I have this app on my phone, which basically you take a photograph of the bottle and it tells you, So there's just too many varieties of wine. Let me taste it, and then if I don't like it, I'll spit it out. But it's wine's good. You're making me thirsty for a glass of wine.
There you go. And we're 2 questions in, right?
2 questions, yeah. I mean, feel free, pop off if you need to pop off at any moment. You're very welcome to do so. As hopefully you come back. Yeah. I got a question about gear, Simon. Another gear question. You're currently playing in one of the most classic rock bands. Do they have a say in what gear you play, or do you get to bring your own rig? Because you mentioned the yellow Ibanez that you probably shouldn't take that on stage. But are you really a free player, or do you need to abide by some rules?
It's basically I can do whatever I want. There's no rules, no anything. The guys are great in Purple. There's no back doors. There's no hidden. What you see is what you get, really, and they're very honest. But do what you want. They So I've been PRS for PRS guitars for 27 years now.
Oh wow!
I think. And then I to be honest, I never really used ENGL amps. The first shows that I did, I was only standing in for Steve Morse because he was technically still part of the band. So I had to use his rig because 12 4x12s and 6 heads at my disposal and flight cases all over Europe. So I'll use them. So and but I discovered they're very good. They really cool. Like Steve's signature head, which is the one I was using. It's brilliant. It just and when I had more free reign to get rid of stuff or like amps and like Steve's amps are brilliant and but they were just not for me. Too high gain and too many channels for my liking. I told the guys at ENGL I agreed to figure out how to use this bloody thing because there's like each channel 3 EQs or 3 mid bands, and switches between those. And there's like 3 of them, and then I was like, nope. So I was talking to them, and then I asked them. I noticed they had this head called the Artist series, which is for me based on the old typical kind of Marshall. And they brought it, and it had bass, mid, treble, gain, volume. And I was like, I don't like anything else too complicated. So, I tried that, and it was great up my street in regards to what I like listening to. And but it still wasn't a great. I'm so used to the old fire-breathing Dragons and Marshalls and things from the 80s and 90s. So I got them to modify it, and they did, and they did a great job. And it's quite aggressive, but that's what I like. It's aggressive, but so. But that thing, it's a monster. It sounds incredible. But in regards to what I can hear, it's whatever you want. There's no rules.
That's great.
It's the way it is. It's like I'm the guitarist, so nobody interferes, right, with me. Like it's like if I go into Don Aries, what gear do you use? You just look at me and go, "What?" So that's the way it works, And but yeah, it's great, and the restrictions at all in Deep Purple, brilliant.
And did you adjust tone wise to kind of match what Steve was doing early on, or did you just say, okay, F it, I'm just going with my own tone and with my perception of how it's supposed to sound?
That was the thing, when I first started, I was under a little bit of pressure from myself in respect of what way do I play, what way do I sound? Did I sound like Richie Blowers? I was like, I don't know, because obviously Steve plays things differently to what, and Richie, played stuff differently as well. So, but I remember I was in a little bit of a rehearsal with Don Airy, and it was just him and me just running over some, stuff like that, and I was talking to him about this, and he just said, throw yourself. Don't worry about Steve. Don't worry about Richie's parts. Just don't, or be you, and because that's what they want. That's the guys in Purple, not be like Richie or be like Steve. So with respect, the Steve take their parts, which are kind of set in stone, which you can't highway star or stuff like that. You can't change guitar solos like that. It's a piece of history. Parts of the tone. The thing is, I believe, right, picked up Steve Morse's guitar, Steve's amps. That's still, it's like, Steve Lukather is one of my heroes. I guarantee if I plugged into his, I'm going to sound like Steve Lukather, and I'll probably just sound like me, unfortunately. Which is because everybody has, I believe, everybody has an inbuilt sound in here, so that you try to get that same sound out of a Fender or a Marshall, a Vox, an ENGL, it's in there. It's what you hear and what you feel and what you play, and you're always going to try and get that, in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, what was the question?
I do remember the question, but the question was less important than the answer. It just seems like from your answer, you have a lot of freedom, a lot of fun, and it certainly seems to be. Yes. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's certainly a dream gig for a lot of players out there. And so who was it that commented? Buzzle. Imagine getting forced to play Steve Morse's rig.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Terrible life.
Private jets.
Yeah, it must be awful. All the red wine you can drink. It must be awful. To the people in the live chat currently, wherever you are, we're currently streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you have a burning question for Simon, then stick it in the chat. And if you really want to make sure you're heard, I recommend a super chat. That'll push you straight to the top of the list of questions. Speaking of questions, Dan, we should probably do some gear picks. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be excited to do some gear picks.
Right. Well, I'm not sure. Simon, did you pick a piece of gear this week you'd like to talk about in your gear pick of the week? Or is there something in your studio you can grab?
I've got
something recent
here which I can grab, which is new. Nobody's really seen it before. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
In that case...
you tell me
we
when to grab it. I'll grab it.
We'll save you to the end because then people will stick around and think, what is that thing that Simon's talking about? And I would like to, I'd like to hear Dan's pick first. So Dan has a little jingle. I'm going to play it and then we'll see which Ibanez product Dan has chosen this week.
Dan's pick of the week. Dan's pick of the week.
So after having picked, after having picked something completely unrelated to Ibanez last week, which was a Dan Electro, I actually went for a limited edition J Custom this week. It's called the RG8560 KE, and Simon has disappeared now for a second in order to show you a beautiful picture of that guitar. It's basically a limited edition RG with a figured Hawaiian koa top on a African mahogany body. Like most of the J Custom models, it comes with a Tree of Life inlay on a Makassar ebony fretboard. It's got 24 frets, matches the brownish koa beautifully with a golden hardware. It's got a low pro edge as well. And what's so special about this is, and this gives me some severe Rap Beach vibes, is that it comes with HSS EMGs. So we've got an EMG 89 in the bridge position and two SAs in the middle and neck pickup position. And this is, it takes you back like 10, 15 years when EMGs was the hot shizzle. And it's a limited edition. I think only 18 pieces done for the Japanese market. So I think it should be clocking in, depending on the currency, it should be clocking in around 3.5K per piece. And you know, every single piece of these 18 guitars are unique because of the koa. And let me tell you that koa is a scarce commodity nowadays. It's really hard to find beautifully figured koa in that thickness to kind of, you know, create the guitars like this. So yeah, if you're lusting for koa, that's my pick of the week and probably my pick of the year as well when it comes to koa tops. How do you guys like it? Are you koa guys? Do you like koa wood?
Not really.
Yeah. Yes and no. I don't do. It really is. No, when you mentioned the Red Beach thing, I remember Ibanez he had years ago with the cutaway at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar. You would swear you work for Ibanez, but you know. No, it's yeah. No. So
I'm collecting that shit as well. So
you're collecting.
Just, yeah,
I don't dislike it. I don't dislike koa. It's just it's not something I would shout at to pick up. I mean, I'm sure it plays beautifully. It's just not something that would go on my list of things to have. However,
okay.
Yeah, I know the J Customs are great guitars, so I'm sure it plays lovely. It just reminds me a bit of Grandma's side dresser, you know?
Point taken. That's a very valid point. It looks like a piece of furniture sometimes, right?
Yeah, it looks like they forgot to paint it.
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did, yeah. But painting koa, surely that's a travesty. Let's see how it's going down in the chat. Our people in the chat hate it, Dan. Oh no! Oh, look at all that hate coming in. Oh, even Valeria says it's awful. Oh no, Valeria says it's coalicious. Sorry, I'm living in an upside down world. Yeah, all right. Oh, Dan, we've been infiltrated by a bot.
Again, private dating chat girls. Damn. Okay.
So, Simon, you've attracted some private dating chat girls bots who are trying to get us to click their hot, sexy photos. So, one of the
Oh, nice.
moderators that's currently in the chat, would you please remove said bot? That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And we'll just ignore them. Let's not talk about them.
Can
Don't click it, Simon. Don't. Your internet connection cannot handle it. Right.
All right.
Right. Calm down, Andy. Calm down. It's time for my pick of the week. Yes. Which is all right. I'm not sure how this is going to go down.
Andy's pick of the week.
Yes, my pick of the week this week is not a guitar or a pedal or an amp or an accessory or a strap or something. It is a collection of guitars. It is the new Chapman collection of guitars made in the UK, made in England, I should say, just like me. So there are some new Chapman guitars that have just been announced today, and there's pretty much the whole range. I don't have much information about them because the website like about half an hour before we're about to go live, and it's basically many guitars. So ML3, ML1, ML2, I think, or that's an ML1 that we've got currently on the screen. I did try to contact Rob, but he's busy to get some more information. They are finally off the ground. So Chapman tried to get some British guitars made a few years ago, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. I genuinely don't know what went wrong. But now they're coming in at the same price, Dan, as your J Custom for UK residents, and for non-UK. So UK residents, 3.5k in pounds, and for non-UK, 3k in pounds. And that's including VAT and delivery on the UK prices, but not including local taxes on the non-UK resident price.
Okay, so it got about 20%-ish.
Yeah, so if it was coming to me in Austria, it would definitely get caught by the customs because they're super strict here. In fact, let's just do a segue for a minute, if I may, a little tangent. Someone tried to send me what I think is a T-shirt in the post from the UK today from a merchandising company, but they wanted 63 euros to import it. So I definitely didn't order this. So if you're listening to the show and you've tried to send me some merch from a company in the UK, maybe as a gift, thank you very much. But it would have cost me 63 euros to import it, and I did not accept the delivery. So please message me on one of the formats that you normally message me on, and let me know, and I'll maybe go down there and spend 63 euros on a T-shirt import. If it wasn't you, then just carry on regardless. Anyway, Chapman guitars, England, UK built. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I've never actually played Chapman guitars, so but I've never actually put my hands on one. So they look nice. They look. I'm gonna be controversial.
Please be honest.
They just, for me, they just look like everything else that's out there at the minute. But with guitars, how do you make something that's a little bit different? But I'm sure they're really nice. I'm under the thing of, I believe that if you make a race, you need to be shot. It's like, it's not hard to make a good guitar. So that's why I'm quite confident that they're probably great. They're years now, from what I know, and but yeah, they look lovely. They look very. I always believe.
All right.
You got to try it first. You got to plug in, and
Yeah, absolutely. We can't look at a picture and make a decision. No. That's for sure. But we could also just look at a picture.
That's nice.
What I like about these guitars, Dan, is they've remembered to paint them or dye them. I think that is a bonus. Certainly a bonus when you're buying a guitar is you also get some paint.
Oh, the middle one. I forgot to paint the middle one.
Yeah.
No, the middle one they've dipped the butt and the two horns in slightly. Yeah. They've showed it the eye.
That's run out of paint.
You know what? It reminds me a lot of the Music Man Sabre. And if I had to pick, it really comes down to the neck. If I had to pick a guitar in that price category, I'd probably gravitate more towards a Music Man because they've got that silky, smooth, oily neck finish. And I'm not sure what kind of finish they are using on the Chapmans. But yeah, other than that, I think if I might be the devil's advocate here, I think these guitars are lacking some sort of differentiation compared to a Framus Diablo and a Music Man Sabre, because it's nothing really super special about them. Neither some sort of wicked switching or super special tremolo or something. It's like probably a very well made but also very traditional interpretation. I'm not sure how many people will be willing to put down like $3,500 for a guitar like that.
I agree.
You know,
it's very, very not. I think it's probably priced the way it should be to be built where it's built, but it's going to be a tough sell. I don't know. I've played the Indonesia. I have an ML3 Modern here. It's phenomenal. I did pick it from I think 4 ML3s, and this one stuck out particularly nicely. I will have to pull 12 and see if I can get my hands on a British made one. See what's going on with it. But I will also say that it doesn't excite me that much, and I'm sorry, Rob, if you're listening, but there's a lack of gear release at the moment, and it was kind of Chapman have released them finally, because I've known they've been coming out for a while, and I don't know. I didn't see the launch. I'm not that excited by it. I hope that it goes well so they can release an ML3, because the ML3 is the one that does it for me.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't really judge. I've never played one, so.
All right.
Okay, right. Let's find out the thing that Simon has.
The bar is very low.
Yeah, we've got a non-painted guitar and some guitars that have been dipped slightly, but
you can tell, like they're usually people in the chat, they are enthused about stuff and they're like, oh, I want to get this, or oh, I completely dislike this, but now they're pretty, I don't know, I don't care about it. It's really, yeah.
Yeah, we've not really polarized anybody today.
No.
So Simon, what have you got with you that is new and exciting?
Okay, well, this is another one of my signature guitars, which PRS shipped to me last Monday. So I haven't even really plugged it in yet. So it's all brand spanking new. So let me just grab a case. I'll show you the back first.
Ooh.
I like it. A little bit of contour.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful. It's a white finish, a white single cut for our listeners on the podcast. Holy moly!
Oh, okay. Okay. Simon, how would you describe that? Because that's beautiful. We need to give us some words.
Yeah, it's you can see it's the 408 kind of style of guitar which PRS made years ago, but they stopped making them because people didn't like it because they couldn't change the pickup. They're an odd size, but I love the design of it, and I love the system on it, which has two your little toggle switches which splits both pickups, and it's semi-hollow, so it has the F hole and stuff in it, but it's a beautiful guitar. The top one is stunning, and I wasn't sure what to expect, because I did say to them, I told them what I wanted, but with Paul, it's like he will do best. If you're an artist or whatever and you want a signature guitar, you're guaranteed it's going to be gorgeous, and for me it is. And it was my choice to go for the white on the front. It's a little bit different, and the white and black has a nice contrast to it. I haven't plugged it in yet, so I don't know what it sounds like, but it's exactly it sounds pretty much the same. So, but it's basically there's no tone knob. I got rid of the tone knob on it. I was.
Oh, it's just the toggle switches. Wow. Okay.
And the volume.
Just the 2 little switches and a standard 3-way. It's very versatile. If you can have it on full, rock mode on the split it, and it goes to like a single coil, or you can have like a single coil, so you get that kind of more, dare I say the word, strattier type of sound, and, or vice versa. You can split, or have this full humbucker and have the single coil, or into the middle sound as well. So it's a very versatile guitar. I a lot of the time when I'm doing other gigs, I generally just use one, and this gives me all the sounds that I need. The reason I got rid of the tone knob was because I haven't used the tone knob in 25 years, and I was like, "What the hell? It's just a waste of stuff, whatever." But and guitars these days are pickups have came along. They're not widely as they were years ago. And tone knobs I felt were only really great for strats or something with single coils in it if you wanted to darken the sound up a little bit. But it's great. But yeah, it's a lovely guitar. You can see the headstock. It's it's that. It's rosewood or something. I don't know what's on. But yeah.
So what model is it, Simon? So it's a single cut semi-hollow with a white back and a flamed black front, translucent black. But what is the model? If you, I know it's a signature thing.
It's not really. There is no real model. If you want to compare it to a PRS model, you would say it's like So it's based on a PRS 408. They don't make know of in a single cut. So it's basically just it's all and there's the model. There you go, the Simon Mcbride.
The Simon Mcbride.
Nice. And that's a narrow field pickup in the neck position.
It's basically still a humbucker, yeah. The like the ones you would get in Paul's guitar.
Okay, yeah.
Humbucker.
Yeah,
They're odd shapes. I like this one because it's slightly wider and bigger. For some reason, I don't know why. I think it was the fact of, you get some people who are obsessed with pickups and want to keep changing their pickup. But I'm kind of like, if you're going to spend that sort of money on the guitar, I'm sure the pickups are going to be amazing. But that's just me. Yeah. So this is brand new. I haven't even plugged it in yet. Okay. So it's
man.
I'll probably.
Simon, the chat has suddenly got very excited about the show now because of that guitar. So Dan and I came in with some lukewarm gear suggestions, and you've just you've just blown us out of the water, I guess.
Glad I can help.
Yeah, thanks. The problem is, Simon, is that we have to play a game now called Buy, Borrow, or Burn, where we decide to, hypothetically, we have enough money to buy anything, but we have to choose which piece of gear we would buy, which piece of gear we would borrow, and which piece of gear we would burn. It's a bit like that game we used to play at school, choosing, for me, members of the opposite sex, which ones you'd objectify and then put into a box, or one of 3 boxes. So
nicely put. Very nicely put.
Yeah, I was trying not to stumble over my words there. I didn't actually ever put anyone in a box, as far as I remember. And if I did, they certainly got out. Okay. So, we'll think about it. We'll play the jingle. We'll go to the live chat. If you're in the live chat right now, make sure you let us know now which gear you would buy, which you would borrow, and which you would burn.
Buy, borrow, or burn?
Right. I'm not going to put a YouTube poll up today because we're having so many technical issues that I can't risk messing with my connection either. But I've already seen some suggestions from the people in the chat. It's just there's so much chat, so many people loving Simon's guitar that it's all gone up the screen. Jason Welch says it's a toss-up between borrow the PRS or the Ibanez, burn the Chapman, but I would gladly take an Indonesian-made Chapman. Okay, Jason, you need to make a choice there. You know, you're only making one choice, really. Buzzle would buy the Koa table. Looks awesome. Borrow the PRS, if Simon lets you, of course. Also awesome, but not my cup of tea. Burn the Chapman. It has no unique selling point. That's
valid. Quite valid.
It's made in the same country I'm from. It's pretty valid. Guitar Viva, our friend Carlos would buy the PRS. Of course you would, Carlos. But you need to let us know what you do with the other two. I need to know. Let's go one more from the live chats, and then we'll ask Daniel Getka what he would do. The Doctor. Enoxes would buy the J Custom, borrow SBM.
I think it's Simon Mcbride model.
He's got the letters.
Model.
SMB.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
SMB,
right.
yeah.
SMB. Right, I got it. I was confused then. And burn, you know what's left. Okay, so, yeah, I'm not very popular this week. Dan, what would you do this week? What would you do?
Okay, now, if money was no issue and I was able to purchase anything I want, I probably, and that might completely blow off your mind, but I probably buy the PRS because it's a one-off for Simon, and I would love to play it and have it in my collection. And I already own a Koa AZ, so there's no real need for me to have an RG, but definitely borrow the RG to kind of check out how it plays, how it sounds, and yeah, well, you know what's left.
Yeah, burn my Chapman. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Moving on. Simon, what would you do with these three gear choices? Please let us know. Please.
Well, I would probably buy.
Buy your own PRS. Good choice.
Of course, yeah.
I can't really buy it, but I could buy it technically if I wanted to. Buy my own PRS. I'd probably buy. And sorry to say it, but you know.
I didn't actually hear what you said. Then you cut out, and I'm not trying to be funny. I didn't hear what you said. Would you? would you burn the Koa or would you burn the Chapman?
Burn the Chapman.
Ah, come on, Simon.
Andy's been burned.
I have this fetish for Ibanez guitars. When I grew up, when I was 9, 10, I grew up with Satriani model. I had the Jam. I had lots of Ibanez's. So, sorry.
Don't need to be sorry.
Sorry, Rob. I don't know Rob Chapman, but you know, sorry.
Perfectly fine to state a preference. Right, my turn. Here I go. Ready?
Yep.
I'm going to buy Simon's PRS without a shadow of a doubt. That thing is gorgeous. I've never tried those kind of pickups, therefore I have to. Although it would be a bit of a blind buy because maybe I don't like it, but definitely buying the PRS. And also, Simon, I've never seen a PRS that makes me want to buy it as much as that. That is the first PRS that in my life has said, that's a stunning looking PRS. I did play a couple of the Santana ones many years ago. And one of them was particularly nice to play, but that one, just looking at it, truly stunning. I love it. And earlier Valeria said it looks a bit like one of those old vintage tires with the white rims, or what are they called? White wall tires.
White wall, yeah.
So yeah, I think it looks amazing. So without a shadow, I'm buying your PRS. May I suggest you release an SE version so I could actually afford it?
I like the Zach Myers. That would be cool.
Like the Zach Myers, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to the other two. I would absolutely 100% borrow the Chapman because I think that's probably going to happen at some point. And I have to burn that Koa because I've got tables I can eat my lunch off. You know, I've already got tables.
That's some expensive fire in that case. Okay. All right.
I do actually, but generally, out of those two guitars, the Koa and the Chapman, I want to try the Chapman. because I have a pretty good idea what the J Custom is going to sound and feel like. So therefore, I have to borrow the Chapman because I have no idea what it's going to sound and feel like.
Okay. So that, I think at the end of the day, like, bottom line is that the Chapman has been burned twice and borrowed once.
Yep.
Which Simon, you're probably not aware of that, but there are weeks where Andy doesn't win, and then there are weeks where Andy loses, and this is probably and this is probably one of those weeks where he kind of gets burned big time.
I was ready for it.
Okay.
I mean, it's on my CV now. Get burned every week.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I really have to control my mouth right now. Right. Okay. I'm gonna take that thought and I'm gonna put it in a little box, and I'm gonna lock that box, and I'm gonna throw it in the ocean. Yes. Right. Simon, we have a wonderful sponsor that we'd like to talk about because they are sponsoring our show this week. So now is the chance for you to go off and get yourself a little glass of wine or even a large glass of wine. We will just take about 30 seconds to a minute to talk about one of our sponsors. So thanks, Simon. Then when we're back with Simon with the questions from the live chat and the more in-depth, really grilling this guitar player.
Yes.
So thank you, Simon. Dan, guitars are good, right?
Guitars are excellent.
Guitars are excellent. But no matter how excellent they are, regardless of where they're made or what company makes them, I almost revisited that box for a second. Glad I threw it in the ocean. Guitars can be better. And who else to help you make guitars better than Stewmac? Stewmac, what would you say Stewmac do, Dan? What's if someone's never, ever heard of them, if they've had their head in the sand?
It's probably the biggest collection of tools on the internet that you can purchase, and from super special interest tools for Guitar Hero 3 to the must-haves that every professional player should carry in his bag. So yeah, you probably get everything there that you need.
I think so. I'd like to challenge them to have something. They even invent their own tools as well when there's a job that needs to be done, and that's pretty cool. Even better news is that currently there are 20% off the price of tools and some supplies. So if you're looking to stock your shop, currently on Stewmac.com, you get 20% off. And I'm going to take a little look later because I think I'm in charge of buying my own Christmas presents this year. So, yeah, who am I kidding? I'm always in charge of buying my own Christmas presents. I'm terrible to buy for. But if anyone wants to buy something for me, they can get 20% off right now at Stewmac.
I'm pretty sure that Simon Mcbride's Guitar Tech is using some toolery from Stewmac.
Probably is. And if you've got a new guitar and you've made some alterations, or you're trying to make some alterations, and you find that there's a job that you cannot quite finish, try looking at Stewmac.com and you'll probably find the tool you're looking for.
This is not the tool you're looking for.
Thanks for the reference. Right, let's bring Simon back in and ask him some questions from the chat.
All right.
Simon, hello. Welcome back.
Hello.
We have some burning questions from the people in the chat. I've saved them. One is from our dear friend Chris Barocci, who says, "Hey, lovely people, a question for Simon. Which is the most fun Deep Purple solo to play live?"
It's a tough one. I like them all. If it was to choose one, I would probably say Highway Star, because Star, it is what it is. It's an iconic rock guitar solo of all ages, and but they're all very cool in their own way. As I said earlier, certain things I like to record or play like Richie or like Steve, because they're part of the creation of the song. There's other solos I play where I take parts of the solo, like maybe it's what he played, and mix it with some of my own stuff as well. So, Star is probably my favorite. Probably my second is probably Lazy. I get to be a bit more free with that one and be myself on it. So it's great.
I'm glad you chose that because I have a little clip of you playing that solo, and we're going to play it now. And I have a follow-up question: is which pedal do you step on as you make your way to the front of the stage? So here's the clip, and you can let us know after the clip. That's about as much as I can get away with playing on the channel. So, yeah, firstly, great job. Love it. What are you doing with your feet when you're walking forward?
I'm doing a bit of Irish dancing. No, basically, I for most solos, guitar solos, I have a few different pedals. You know, boost pedal. I have the Source Audio Zeo boost, one that does different, like a JFET boost and stuff like that. The PRS one, the horse meat. Interesting name, but you know it's great too. Then you'll like this one, Dan. I recently jumped to my roots and just bought an Ibanez TS9.
Okay.
So that's what I've been using most of the time now. Yeah, it's
a classic, right?
It works. You play, you stamp on it, and you go, that's it. It does the job. It doesn't. It just works for me. In certain things. But I have, as I said, I have 2 or 3, and But yeah, I have this big pedal board. On stage.
So you do all the tap dancing yourself. There's no tech like roadie behind it stepping you through the sequences. You're doing all the tap dancing yourself.
Yeah, I'm a control freak, so I don't like.
Wow.
I just have this big board, and it's runs through one of the gig rig, not the switching system, but the quartermaster, I think it's called. Basically, everything's just by, it runs. Through bypass. So it means it's faulty. I still have straight signal from the guitar to the amplifier. So
okay.
I use a bunch of pedals on Deep Purple show, and which amazes a lot of comments. People tell me, so Richie only used a guitar, amp, and a cable, and that's great. that was 1969 or whatever. The thing is that I never actually thought I would use a lot of pedals on the Deep Purple show, but one of them, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 5, I don't know, let's say like 12, 13 pedals on my board, and one of them, but yeah, a lot of the time, when I do solos, it's usually a boost pedal amp set it's not high gain on it, overdrive sound I have, and then if I need the solo, I just use the same sound and I just boost it with or one of the other ones. And sometimes I use a little, which I use a TC Electronics, the little tiny multi effects things that they brought
Bettererer.
out. Yeah, Bettererer. I don't know how to pronounce it. So, yeah, and a bunch of other questions than you actually asked me. So maybe there's another question.
No, love it. It's some great information. I have 2 kind of small questions from the chat, and then I'll get Dan in there because I need to close my mouth for a bit. I've got too many questions. The first question is from Celine Perrin. What did you play before you were playing ENGL, Simon?
I played a few different amps. I was using Victory amps for a while.
Okay.
So too. And I used for about a year MCBRIDE as well. They're great amps too. Before that, I was using PRS amps as well. There's probably they're PRS amps. These ones, funny ones here.
All right, okay.
There's victory there too. I have a but some Marshall stuff. I have an old crate, literally 300, which I don't know if you ever remember that one. It was like the big valves in this thing, 300 watts.
Wow. Okay.
There's no handle. There's no handle on the top. Handles on the side because it was so bloody heavy. Because of two massive big transformers there. So stuff, the Mesa PRS stuff, I used it for a long time actually. The PRS amps I have are basically old Super League. That's it.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. So quite a collection.
Yeah. I was hoping Marshall was going to be in there somewhere. I was like, is he really not going to say Marshall? And then
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, right at the back.
And there's one here. Let me see if I can turn this around. You can see, Super League.
I saw this in the trailer you made for us, and I was going to ask you what that was, but you just answered. Thank you.
Yeah, that's one of those fire breathing dragons. You turn it up and it's like really loud, but it's cool.
Sweet.
Right, one more question from the chat. This is from Rock Guitar Vibes, Simon. It says, Simon, any recommendations regarding picks? And I'm asking you this because I think it's a very difficult question to answer, and I want to know what a professional Deep Purple guitar player will answer that question with.
You know what? It's a funny thing. I get asked picks to use, and I get very cheeky, and I just say triangle shape. I have plectrums are a personal thing. I don't get caught up with plectrums. I've used the same style of plectrum since day one, and that was just the standard, that shape, standard. Excuse the paint color, but it's
so it's a Tortex standard Jim Dunlop looking pick.
1 millimeter, yeah, I think it's thickness,
yeah.
And that's what I've used since day one, really. So other plectrums, but I don't know. I think people don't get caught up too much with the plectrums and the gear too much. I love gear, don't get me wrong, but it all comes from this. You have to make whatever works for you. One of these are a small Jazz 3 or whatever. So preference. I can't recommend any plectrum to anybody because what I like may not suit. It's like I remember when I tried one of Steve Lukather's plectrums, and I like it was the size of your nail. It was the tiniest little thing, and I was like, that. But so it's just personal. I had the same theory with guitars, signature guitars. I never bought signature guitar because that guitar is always made for a certain artist, and because I know I've got other guitars here, like I've got that, which is a great guitar, but for me personally, I don't like it. It's just because it suits John Mayer and it suits his feel and what he's learned, as a kid. It's the same with other guitars too. I've tried it. It's nice, but not for me. Just whatever you want. Jeff Beck doesn't use a plectrum.
Yep.
Yeah. Wonder how much his fingers are worth. Quite a lot. I'd say.
Quite a lot.
Yeah. Simon, we've got a few more burning questions for you. We're going to go to a little sponsorship slot before we ask those questions because there's some exciting guitar auctions coming up, which you may or may not have heard of these guitar auctions, but we're going to inform everybody now about them. And when you come back, maybe there's something you fancy. So time to go and get a little glass of red wine, or what was it, a brandy or something brown? But
brandy, yeah.
Brandy, that'll do. All right. Thank you, Simon. We'll see you in a second. Dan.
Yes, Andy.
I found an absolute bargain on the website of our other sponsor this week from Guitar Auctions, brought to you by Gardner Holgate.
Well, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of bargains over there if you just look closely and, make the right bid at the right time.
Yeah, well, technically, there might not be bargains. They could be or they could not. Depends how many people we inform. If we do a really good job of informing people about these auctions, there'll be no bargains left.
Yeah, then all the people are screwed. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not really... Every week, I'm not sure if I want to share something, to be honest. But I'm going to because I can't afford to buy another guitar this year. Right. The guitar I found from guitarauctions.co.uk is this.
Oh, no!
A 1995 Gibson Les Paul Custom. And their estimated price is £800 to £1,200. But it's white with gold hardware with an ebony board. So that's a custom Les Paul, classic white. So I was really into the Manic Street Preachers in the 90s, and James Dean Bradfield played one of these, and I lusted after one of these guitars for years. And the guitar player in my friend's dad's band had one, and he imported it from America because it was that long ago. Mm-hmm. It just looks absolutely stunning. And that, dare I say, is one of the final eras of Gibson being great, because I'm not a massive fan of recent Gibson guitars. And I think if you're after something that will be worth money in the future, a mid-90s Les Paul Custom is the way to go. What do you reckon? Yep.
Just 2 words, Justin Hawkins.
Justin Hawkins. There we go.
That's why I was lusting for a guitar like that as well. The only thing I've never kind of wrapped my head around is that effing G string that would never stay in tune. So I, throughout my collector's career, I had several Les Pauls and I never really felt kind of good on stage when playing them, because the G string would go slightly out of tune, and at a certain point you just feel like, it's a little bit wrong. So I admire everyone who can deliberately play and enjoy a guitar like that, but just for the looks, it's just an amazing guitar. And for $800 or even $1,200, it might be even worth the travel. But I heard that you don't even have to travel to the UK to kind of get your hands on one of these guitars. Is that right?
That is right, Dan. It is UK based. It's guitar-auctions.co.uk, but everything's live online. So you can watch Luke and his colleagues do the auction online. And then if you've registered, you can bid with your credit card and then pay straight away. And they'll even help you ship it to you. So they don't actually ship it for you, but they have connections to shipping companies they trust and recommend. And I've used them 3 times. So maybe that 4th guitar that I buy from Guitar Auctions is actually going to be a Gibson, surprisingly. Oh man,
we got to keep track of where those guitars that we kind of showed in the show, where they land at the end of the day.
That's
what's the final bid, and what's your estimate? Yeah, that would be great to kind of.
My estimate is that is not going to go for £1,200.
Let's say 1,600. Is that realistic?
Okay, I think it's going to go for more than 2.
No, I say less than 2.
All right. We'll find out in a few weeks, because the next auction is on the 7th and 8th of December, which is when that Les Paul will be up for grabs. So I would love to find out, and I'm happy to lose. I'm happy to lose, because that means I might have bought it myself. 2,000 is my Grenze, is my limit. Right. Okay.
All right.
I know you have some questions for Simon, Daniel, so I'm going to take a little break, and we'll bring Simon back in. Hey, Simon.
Hey.
Hello.
Les Paul Custom. Is that a guitar that floats your boat?
Yes. There was, from my opinion, there was a period of time that good. It might have been around the 90s. I don't know. I can't remember, but they're amazing, Les Pauls and stuff like that. But I know they've got a lot better. Always, it's an iconic rock guitar. What's not to love? It's you get guys, even Jeff Beck played one years ago. So, but yeah, they're great. Single cut, because I love that shit.
Yeah. Are you more on the heavy side of things?
Sorry.
Oh, they make great single cuts as well. I have a Tremonti at
Yeah.
home. I was I think talking with Andy the other day that I was kind of getting that out of the closet for some alto bridge riffing, and I was still amazed by how well they play, and you can take them out of the case and they are ready to go. But like, are you more on the heavier side of things when it comes to guitars, or do you prefer like the lightweight sub 3.5 kilos
I'm
instruments?
lazy, so the lighter the better.
It's better for the back as well, right?
Why do you think mine's semi-hollow? Yeah, no, I don't like heavy guitars. There's not really have really heavy guitars, because all they really do is hurt your back, or you develop the old bass player's pose, which the just going down all the time. So, but yeah. I think with modern technology, they figured out how to, and make them sound better, but also take the weight out of it. So yeah, I'm all for the light. Not as light as carbon fiber, but that's a different story.
Not too far, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. I'm going to be looking at that Les Paul, if I'm honest. I might have to shift a few things.
All right. Well then, maybe I might take over at that point, because I desperately wanted to talk about Simon's latest album, The Fighter. Could you like give us a little bit of a background how you approached writing of that record? And I can highly recommend it to everyone. I think I was just checking on Amazon. You've got like a 4.7 or 8 rating, more than 90 reviews, and people are completely amazed by the album, and I can completely understand. And since I think it was your 7th or 8th solo record, like how did that album come about? Was that all written in one session, or was that over a course of several years? What's the story behind the album?
Yeah, that record was done pre-COVID. It was ready to go. Record COVID. The funny thing is we were never into that album. Myself, the drummer, and the bass player. It was all done via Dropbox, really.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
It's a weird thing. Because at the time, and so I could never tie down a week here or 2 weeks and do something. So the only way we could do it was via the engineer. He did a lot of the drums in London, and the bass parts over there were done as well. And then I did a lot of guitars just in here in my own little studio, and all the vocals were done. And then I really just farmed it out to different background vocal players who just same thing, had their own studio, and they just little parts here and there. So I just got people just to record it at home and then send it and stuff. So but people, that's not really rock and roll. You need to be in the studio. And I'm like, well, yeah, I do need it, but there's ways and means to make it sound quite realistic. For me, the first step was we recorded a bunch of really good, demos for the album. So I sent it to the drummer Johnny Finnegan, who played drums on it, and it's basically a finished product to play to, right? In a way, you could have released demos that were that good, So I basically sent him the finished drummed over, and then I replayed all the guitars over, to him, So it's when you can do it this way, but it's a little bit more time and effort, because you have to do it this way. Get a really good track to the drummer, and that's the center of the track. Drum track sucks. Mm-hmm. It sucks, So I read his drum track, so I played to him, because drummers push and pull with the time. They something which is a natural thing to do. It's not, they're not going to have time or anything. It's just that natural, really digging something and going for it. So, and sometimes I have to listen to that and play it a few times to figure out where he's pushing and pulling. And that's why we made it in a room, but we weren't. So it was the songwriting aspect of it was I did a lot of it with songwriters, friends of mine, who there's a guy called Nathan, who's a singer-songwriter, and he's a good friend of mine, but he was exactly the kind of songwriter. I don't know, maybe 3 albums before that, which was my last record I released before that was 2012. So you can do the maths. It was a long time ago. Yeah, I took a break. but those records I did years ago, they were more guitar, because I never really focused on the vocals and lyrics. I was a guitarist, and that's what I wanted to do. So, but I wanted to make that my first priority was, melodies, deliver a good vocal performance, and then the overall song. Because if you here's what we all love is songs which are just simple. So you think about it, 99% of the population are not guitarists, and so nobody, they don't understand if I play a million notes and stuff. They're looking at it going, "Wow, that's impressive," but can you sing a melody for me?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So I got this guy Nathan, and he's brilliant. He's a singer-songwriter. Damn about guitar playing at all. He's like, I don't care about that crap. You could sort that out later. The structure of the song, the parts, the melodies, the lyrics, and then all the guitar parts and stuff I just kind of put to it afterwards in a way. And personally, I think it was a better way of working. I think that's the way a lot of people should do, is focus on our keyboards, just getting the basic bones of the song down. I do believe there's a window of opportunity with writing songs that you're screwed. And what I mean by that, to write a song, you get inspiration, you get inspired, you're ready, you're getting ideas are flowing, and you're like, right, okay, I've spent half an hour to song, I've got a verse and a pre-chorus, and then I'll come back and next thing you know, you're sitting here going. So once you start a song, you got to finish it in some shape or form. The ideas are flowing. You just got to keep going until that song is finished. And that's what I tried to do with this record. Apart from one, I'll explain that in a minute. Every song in there was written 20 minutes.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
The basic bones of it. Not all the parts. Your structure and melodies and lyrics, were everything can be tweaked, but it was done. And I think that's the most important thing, because the first song on the record is a track called "Don't Dare," and then that's an example of the idea, and then going and leaving it for a couple of days, and then coming back and going, anything. I love the guitar riff in that song, and that's. When did I write that? About I'd say ago. That guitar riff, and it's taken me 15 years to get the rest of this on it, because
wow.
And I didn't do it. It was Nathan, the guy, the singer-songwriter. I said to him, I have this guitar riff. Have a listen. So I played it to him. He's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Now we should go here and go there. And I think I hugged him, because I was like, it's taken me 15 years, and he just sorted it out in 5. Yeah, that's an example of going outside the window of opportunity. But that's just, some people may come on the chat and go, that's a load of nonsense. I wrote songs. I don't know. That's me, that's that I find, you know, it's same with guitar solos. Sometimes, you know, and sometimes it's not, but that's just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, man. It's really fun to hear the stories behind, because I've been listening to the album, and particularly that track was one of my favorites. The riffs are very, very beautifully simple in the way that I thought, that makes me want to grab the guitar and join in, you know. And it's fun that you're working with the songwriter, because that means that someone else is really helped you create those pieces of music. And I hope you don't leave it again so long to make another album, because I might actually have time to learn those riffs by the time your next one comes out.
Yeah.
Are you going back on tour with Purple in the next couple of weeks or before the year is out?
We have some stuff which we're doing in December. But we start really touring again in February, which we for a bunch of shows, and then we go from there to and Indonesia, and
sweet.
And then we come home, and I think there's talk of some stuff in South America and around Europe. Yes, because it would be a European tour. So yeah, in June, July. That's what I meant to say. It's pretty full on, which is good. You know, so.
And I think a burning question from everyone in the audience: are you bringing the black white semi-hollow PRS on tour?
Yes.
Woo!
Have two rigs, two identical rigs, so they're exactly the same. The pedal boards are exactly the same models, you know, slightly different colors, whatever. But the amps are the same. The rack, because for example, when we play America in February, the A rig is on its way to Indonesia, where we use the B rig. It's just, you know, trying to play, you know, as far away as you can, and, you know, it have two rigs. So, but the black one, it will come on the road with me. So, I have about many guitars that I have on the road in total. You know, it's split between two rigs. So there's four on each rig. So there's
not too much.
There's the black one here, and the red one, which is the Canadian rig one's in the big rig, and then I also use a Fiore, the PRS, the Fiore, the Mark guitar as well, for a bunch of songs. It's a great guitar, that one. It's fine to mine. It's a little bit more. It's a hum coil quality to it. It sounds like it's quite wiry, and full. And then I have a couple of 24 Floyd Rose things as well. So yeah, it's sorry, I always get big long answers.
No, it's nice to see inside the brain of the player. It's really nice to hear you be passionate and considerate with your answers. Thank you, Simon.
You know what?
Thank you.
We've just kind of scratched the surface. I think there's a true gear geek underneath.
I think so too. Yeah.
Right. I think there's much more to explore, and we definitely need to get you on the show another time to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that gear universe of Simon Mcbride.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's a nerd in there jumping out.
Completely. I'm absolutely gear. So.
Simon, thank you for joining us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure finding out the little intricacies of what makes your career tick. And as Dan said, it would be great to get you back on and dive even deeper. But to everybody that's listening and watching, please go and check out Simon's album. I've been rocking out to it this week, and last week, I should say. And then, of course, when Simon's on tour, go and see Purple, which I'm allowed to call them Purple now because, you know, I'm with Simon. And as always, yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit less removed than I was, so I can just say purple. um, if you enjoyed this show, then you could also share it with a friend, because we think that the show is doing really, really well. And we've got some great guests coming up. We've had some great guests, just like today with Simon. And we want to make sure that enough people are listening to the show and getting the opportunity to hear these wonderfully nerdy, geeky gear answers. So if you have a friend that plays guitar, why not share it with them? And if you have a friend that doesn't play guitar, share it with them as well. And then maybe they'll start playing guitar, and we can breed more guitar players for the future. That can only be a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. To the people that listen and watch live, thank you for joining us. The people that listen to the audio version, I hope you had a good time. And Dan, Simon, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out tonight.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. And good night. Thanks, Simon.
See you, Simon. Bye. Oh, I pressed the wrong button.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your #1 show for everything guitar.